Well, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I was supposed to be taking some time off, celebrate my birthday, all that good stuff. But unfortunately, NBA free agency does not allow time off, apparently. hmm So, as we all now know, LeBron James, hmm LeBron James Sr., hmm has announced that he will be joining the 76ers of Philadelphia for the upcoming NBA season. Signed a 2-year contract, $8 million. hmm Yep, I did not lie. You heard me correctly. He did not sign with Miami. He did not sign with Cleveland. He did not sign with New York. Don't think New York was even an option. But you know, he did not sign with Golden State, which is what quite a few people wanted because they seen how him and Stephen Curry played well with each other in the Olympics, and it would have been really really nice to see. I can't even pretend like that wouldn't have been a bad look. But yeah, he is headed to Philly. Mm. I will say, LeBron, thank you. I appreciate you because I did say on a previous episode not to drag this out throughout the whole summer. Give us time to prepare to get the tickets um, for the games for the upcoming season. I wanted you to take that into consideration, and you did just that. You did. You didn't drag it out to the end of the summer. It's still summer. Unfortunately, I don't think that's enough time because these tickets is about to be life altering decision type tickets. Um, yeah, they're not gonna be cheap. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, we're gonna be deciding if we are gonna eat or we going to the game. Are we gonna, pay the light bill or are we going to the game? We're gonna skip the car payment this month, or are we going to the game? I don't want to say rent or mortgage because hopefully we don't take it that far. But people gonna be making some decisions. We're gonna be getting loans to go to these tickets. We're gonna see if a firm, Klarna, um, Afterpay, all that good stuff, and see if they're gonna let us do that with them tickets because that's what's coming. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's none of my business how you do it. I just, LeBron, I just need you to take that in consideration. Adam Silver, take that into consideration before you price these tickets because we still got to live. All right. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. We got to get it popping on the sidelines. Like, excuse me, I can't say that I was completely shocked by the move because Philadelphia was one of the 3 or 4 teams that was on the list. Um, I think it shocked many because we know that LeBron is in towards the end of his career. Okay, he's past his prime. Um, he's in his 40s. What Ron is 40, about to be 42. So yeah, like we really know that we're coming to the end of the LeBron James era as far as playing basketball, his playing career. Um, so we know that's coming. So many thought that he would either go to Cleveland and close out at home. Makes perfect sense. That's where you started, go where you finish. Even Miami was an option because he did win 2 titles in Miami. So we definitely could see him going back to Miami. Also, people thought that he was going to Golden State. They were in talks of getting him as well because of how well him and Stephen Curry played during the Olympics. Um, and I want to say they've always wanted to play together, I believe, but that's neither here nor there either because he's not going there. He's going to Philly with Joel Embiid, also Jalen Brown, Tyrese Maxey. hmm That's about to be a crazy, crazy lineup because I believe you still got VJ Edgecombe, and he's a young player and still growing. He's already good, and he's still growing. He got room to grow. But it does make things interesting in the Eastern Conference. Of course, you still have the reigning champions, the New York Knicks. Shout out to them. Shout out to Jalen Brunson. They still champs right now until somebody come in and change it. Okay. So it really shake things up in the East. You also have Tyrese Halliburton coming back this season after missing an entire season, after rupturing his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 2025. So you have him returning. You also have other big time trades where Giannis has made his way to Miami. Yeah, that's true too. So you have Giannis, Bobby Portis with Bam Adebayo in Miami. That's going to be an awesome front court, I believe. I think that's going to be something great to see. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how Milwaukee looks now. I mean, I don't know. Question mark Milwaukee. We'll come back to y'all. So right now, and then you also have Kawhi Leonard that's headed back to Toronto. So it's a lot of things shaking up in the Eastern Conference this season. Very, 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 very interesting new lineups coming up in the Eastern Conference right now. And of course, you still have the Boston Celtics, who, despite not having Jason Tatum the entire season, finished at number 2. And nobody thought that they would finish nobody thought they would finish at number 2 in the East. I had to make sure I was right on that. Nobody thought that they would finish at number 2. The majority of takes that I've heard, many said that they would at least be a 6 seed or a 7 seed. At worst, they would be a play-in team getting into the playoffs. That was the worst. So, but no one had them at the top. Everyone had New York or Detroit dominating the East. Me personally, I figured it would be New York because they had nothing standing in their way. They did not have Boston because Jason Tatum, of course, was not playing, so they were a man short. No disrespect to you, Jalen. We know what you can do, boo. We know what you can do. But there was a man down. Jason Tatum did not play until March. Okay. So, but they still made a little bit of a run in the playoffs. Of course, we thought that Detroit was going to be better, or I'm going to say better, go further, because they played good. And then I don't know what happened in the playoffs. I don't know what happened. They left everything up to Cade, and Cade, as good as he is, he can't do it by himself. So, they lost in the first round. Nobody seen that coming. Nobody. Everyone had them going further than what they did. We also thought Orlando was going to be better than what they were, but they were not. So with all of the changes that have been made in the East, you got the Wizards. Also, they got the number 1 draft pick in AJ. The band. I don't want to mess up your name, baby. But you have him. You have Trae Young also with the Wizards. Like, there's so many moving pieces. You got in Chicago, you have Caleb Wilson that was drafted there. With Memphis, you have Cam Boozer that's there. So, like, the Eastern Conference, not saying that we should expect so much from the rookies and like, oh, they're about to be winning rings. No, I'm not saying. It's so much movement, and it's going to be real interesting to see how it all plays out. Is all I'm saying. Just like with Miami, with Giannis and Bam, like that front court. People may want to underestimate Bam, but Bam is going to do one or two things. He's going to protect the rim. And he can score. Then you got Giannis. Giannis is definitely going to give you at least 25, 27 points a game. He should anyway. We know Giannis in Milwaukee did that. So on top of being a great defender, that's what, that's really what that's going to bring. So that's going to make Miami, or at least it should make them much more competitive, putting them in playoff contention, possibly Eastern Conference Finals contention. I'm not saying NBA Finals, Eastern Conference Finals contention. With New York, they've also made a bunch of changes. They got Mitchell Robinson is no longer there. He's in Boston with Jason Tatum and them. So, granted, they're not blowing up their whole team. They did just get rid of him, and I think they got Andre Drummond now. But he's no Mitchell Robinson. And for anybody that thinks otherwise and think that Mitchell Robinson was not an intricate part of the Knicks winning that finals, then I'm gonna need you to go back and watch some more basketball and then come back, because he was a huge part. He played his role very well enough, even with a broken pinky, to slow down Wembanyama so that the Knicks can advance and win the championship. So I just real interested to see how it goes. The West is always going to be the West. Of course, you have OKC. They are also making moves there. You still have San Antonio. They've added a couple of pieces to their roster. I want to say Tobias Harris is there now. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not any big time like major moves such as we've seen with LeBron, Giannis, and then Paul George going to all of that good stuff. Jaylen Brown going to Philly, and then Paul George going to Boston. Like, it's not that big, but it's enough. Okay, and I don't know what my Lakers gonna do. I don't know. That's all. I don't ask me nothing. I don't know. We got Austin Reeves. We got Luka. We're gonna work with it. We're gonna see what we can do. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this NBA season comes along. So on top of all of these big time NBA free agency trades, these free agency moves, on top of this NBA draft class being completely stacked. I mean, stacked. I am so excited to see how everything is going to play out. Barring and praying nobody gets injured or any serious injuries. I know injuries are a part of the game, but I really hate it, especially when players have so much potential. They're so great. And then they get their big break. They are able to live out their dreams and play. And then an injury comes. I hate it. So hopefully we can get through that season without any major injuries. That's my prayer. That's my wish. And that's what I'm throwing into the atmosphere. Okay. So we do have that. Now I am going to go ahead on and slide to the WNBA. Because it's a lot of mess. It's a lot of mess. And I don't know if I even have the energy anymore at this point, but I'm gonna do what I can. So everyone knows of all of the discourse surrounding Caitlin Clark. Okay. It did not just start this season. Let's start there. It didn't start this season. It started mainly after the LSU. Nope, I take that back. It started really when Iowa played South Carolina, and might I add, played an undefeated South Carolina team. That team included Leah Boston. It did. Okay. That team was undefeated. They were picked to win the national championship, right? That team also had Raven Johnson. By the way, which is kind of ironic, Raven Johnson and Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are now all teammates in the WNBA. Who would have thunk that? Anyway, but when Iowa played South Carolina that year in 2023, okay, they beat South Carolina because they dared South Carolina to shoot beyond the arc or outside of the paint. They clogged the paint to shut down and limit Aaliyah Boston. And they did successfully. And then they forced them to shoot threes. But there was one particular play where Raven Johnson was wide open for a three. Caitlin was down in the paint. And she looked at Raven and waved her off. Basically, okay, shoot it. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, then I made the right decision, basically. Okay? She did. That moment was the beginning of it, because that is when people started saying, oh, she just going to wave off. That's so disrespectful. What? It is in the moment of the game. Who don't track? People trash talk during the games. It doesn't mean that she thinks that Raven is a terrible player. We're competing. We're not friends while we're competing. I don't got to be nice to you while competing. I don't got to be rude or disrespectful, but I don't got to be nice to you when I'm competing against you. I don't. And frankly, I'm not going to. And if you don't like that, not my problem. Take that up with God or whomever you worship. Take that up with them because I don't care. She didn't have to be, that wasn't her saying Raven was a trash player or any of the sort. It wasn't. She dared her to shoot. She stuck to the game plan. The game plan was to clog the paint and make them shoot threes. If you ask me, that was great coaching on Lisa Bruder. That was her staff reading the scouting report and realizing their game is in the inside. They play tough defense and bully their way to the inside. So we got to clog the paint and make them shoot from the outside. That's what I saw. Okay? Right. So moving on. Next game, LSU wins. And we got LSU and Iowa in the championship. Now, Angel and Caitlin has always had this rivalry. They've competed with each other since high school. Okay? LSU comes up victorious, right? Angel does the John Cena thing, okay, at Caitlin. Followed her around the court while doing it, okay? From there, all hell broke loose. Angel was labeled a villain, and apparently Caitlin was uplifted as a saint and needs to be protected. At least that's what the streets say. The internet streets say. Now, me personally, I don't think Caitlin has ever said or felt like she needs to be protected or get some type of special treatment. She's never said it. She does not want it. She does not like it. She doesn't encourage it, anything. All she want to do is hoop. But, you know, we have all of these crazy narratives. So from that moment, that year in 2023, from that Final Four, those two games, all hell broke loose, and then it has been hell ever since. Ever since. Caitlin gets drafted number 1. Well, Aaliyah Boston enters the draft when they lost that game. She enters the draft. She's drafted number 1 draft pick in 2023 to the Indiana Fever. Fast forward to 2024. Caitlin Clark. Yeah. Caitlin Clark is the number one draft pick, and she went to back-to-back championship games, national championship games, and lost in both. The first one, of course, was against LSU. The second one was against South Carolina. South Carolina got their lead back. So they won. Caitlin is drafted number 1 draft pick in 2024, right? Her and Angel get into the league. Angel is drafted to Chicago. Caitlin is, of course, drafted to Indiana. So again, as I said, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are now teammates. And here comes Raven Johnson in this year's draft. As we're working out, she's also in Indiana. So, but since that Final Four, it has been all of this racial discourse surrounding Caitlin Clark. And for some reason, people assume that is who she is. And that is where I have an issue. Because I don't think that is who she is. Many say she needs to come out and speak against her fan base that are using her name and pushing racial narratives, right? She has done this several times. She has said it several times. She does not support or want anyone using her name to push any type of racial narrative. She has spoken out against it several times. She's also said that the league was built on the backs of Black women who were great at playing basketball. If you don't believe me, go look at an interview she did with David Letterman. That was last year. She did it. She has repeatedly spoke out against racism, against players receiving threats or racial slurs thrown at them, whether it's online or whether it's at a game. She has repeatedly spoken out against it, but it does not matter what she says. No matter what she say, it's still her fault. For some reason, everybody thinks that she has to put on a cape and stop people from being racist. And then what, to me, what kind of, I ain't gonna say makes it worse, but it's weird because Paige Beckers will get and say the same thing. But you know what they do to Paige? They uplift Paige. They like, yep, she can come to the cookout. That's what they say about Paige Beckers. And don't get me wrong, Paige, I completely appreciate and love what you do. Hell of a basketball player. Absolutely love the fact that you speak up. I love it. But I also don't make that her responsibility because it's not her responsibility per se. If she chooses to do so, thank you. But if she chooses not to, doesn't necessarily mean that she supports racism or anyone that does that. That doesn't mean that. So the same things that Paige has done and said as far as Black women being, the league being built off Black women, like the best players in the league have been Black women. Caitlin has done the same thing. Her favorite player is Maya Moore. She wanted to go to UConn because she idolized Maya Moore. That was her favorite player. Yeah, and Maya's Black. So I just don't like the way that narrative of her fans are racist, so she is too. It's not who she is. And then we had the whole Alyssa Thomas incident. And again, I have nothing against Alyssa Thomas. Great player, literally just about a walking triple-double herself. But I don't like the way the aftermath of that situation was handled. Because what she said was, instead of just saying, I watched the replay, I see where my fist was in her throat. It was not my intention, which I truly don't think it was her intention. That's just, I don't think it was her intention. But she could have easily said, I saw my fist in her throat when I watched the replay. I saw the replay. It did look bad on replay. That was not my intention at all. It was a bad foul. And move on. That's not what she did. She said nobody even saw it until after the fact. Like the bench, nobody didn't even do nothing. Nobody seen it. But that don't mean it didn't happen. Because it did. We saw the video. We saw it with your fist in the throat. Did nobody make that up? That won't AI. Your fist was in her throat. Whether you meant it to be there or not, it was there. There was no apology or just saying, I was trying to make a play on the ball. Anything. But she did none of that. Instead, she flipped it and said, what I'm tired of is, we're having to deal with racial slurs, people saying this, and not saying that that's not valid. But that wasn't the time for you to bring that up in that moment. I don't believe. I think you could have acknowledged what was done to Caitlin in that play or discussed the play and then moved on to that. Because two things could be true. Caitlin didn't deserve to have your fist in her throat, and you don't deserve to have people making threats to you and calling you out of your name because you're a Black woman and you had a hard foul against a white woman. That is not right either. It's okay for two things to be true. But to negate one action because you feel like this action is more important, that's not right. It's not right at all. But that's just me. I also don't really like all of this with Sandy. But I can't even say her last name right. The head coach. Y'all know what she said. So Sandy said she used to coach for the New York Liberty. And in a game, because she's coaching, I want to say, is it Portland or Toronto? One of them. But she said to Angel Reese, or she referred to Angel Reese as a protected species. Protected species, right? Now, in Australia, protected species is a term or slang term used to describe a player or an athlete that receives preferential treatment when it comes to officiating. Okay. That is what that means. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with your origin, your national origin, your nothing. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Okay. However, comma, I understand how Angel would be offended. Because in this country, to hear species, we think of animals. We don't think of just humans or just organisms. We think of animals. And for as long as we were forced to be in this country, as in when my ancestors was brought over here, forced over here to be slaves, we were told that we were animals, that we weren't citizens, that we were less than. So in this country, that term is not just a slang term for an athlete that receives preferential treatment. We hear species and we automatically think, what? It's a racial slur. Now, that being said, I do not think Sandy is a racist. I also do not believe that she said that with any malicious intent. I don't think she said that because Angel was a Black woman. I don't think she said that because Angel is a Black basketball player that gets special treatment. I don't necessarily think that she meant anything as far as the color of her skin. I do not believe that. I don't think she said that because Angel was Black, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think she said that. I still think that she should have used better terminology because, again, in this country, we're not going to see it as what it's meant, which is why she apologized. And her apology was heartfelt, and she said it basically, she took complete responsibility and said, what I said where I'm from means something different here. She understood it. She got caught up in the heat of the moment, and her culture came out. It happens all the time. We always say, even as Black people, we love to say, hey, you can take the hood, you can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the girl, and vice versa. We say it all the time. I say it all the time. Period. I said it about myself. That South Side of Chicago gonna come up. Listen, I lived in Chicago, lived in the South Side. It's gonna come up sometimes. I keep her at bay, but sometimes she come on up. So it's not that she was saying that to Angel because she was Black. I don't think it was meant to be a racial slur, but I understand why Angel was offended because I feel everyone has a right to feel the way they feel. I do think that when the coach apologized, whether it was on the phone, whether it was in person, I don't know. I do think that Angel should at least attempt. Talk to her. Figure this out. Because to label someone a racist off of one incident, you've basically attacked her, all of her character. You're basically saying she's a racist, and that's that. I don't think that's fair, but that's just me. If Angel chooses to have a conversation with her, great. If she chooses not to, great. I'm not gonna hold it against you either way. But I think in order to get a handle on some of these racial narratives, because some of them are, yes, being created by the media and being pushed by trolls, yes. But what can we do to slow it down and to help stop it? And this could have been one of those situations to where you have a conversation, she explains what happened, she apologizes, you either accept it or you don't. But we cannot keep forcing narratives when it's not there. And I think Caitlin mentioned that recently. She said it in an interview recently. She just said, judge my game, critique my game. Tell me I shot poorly in this game. Tell me I had too many turnovers in this game. I don't care about that. She's okay with that. What she's not okay with you attacking her character and saying that she's a racist and that she she's basically okay with her name being used to promote racism or to tear down other Black players. So, and that's another thing. I need y'all to be consistent across the board. So, I love Asia Wilson. Absolutely love her. Okay. I did watch a video recently of Asia where she said that she guards white players, or some type of rule in the W that they guard the white players a little bit harder. Her no type of backlash, outrage, nothing. I also saw a video where Asia also said to Chelsea Gray, and maybe she was joking, but it was it was public when she said it. Okay. And she said, "This y'all month. I ain't gonna get no foul calls this month." She was referring to Chelsea Gray being a lesbian, and it was Pride Month, and basically insinuating that the lesbians are gonna get most of the calls this month. Nobody was mad. There was no outrage. There was no backlash. And I'm not saying that she meant it to be, in a malicious form, because I know she didn't. She was joking. But at the end of the day, a white person can't joke like that. If they do, they're racist. Simple. May not like that I said it. You might try to say, I don't care what you say, honestly. But it shouldn't be okay for one to do it and not okay for the other. That's all I'm saying. The Black players in the WNBA should not be receiving any type of threats, racial slurs, anything. I do wholeheartedly agree that the WNBA has not done a great job. And Kathy, girl, just go somewhere and sit down and let somebody else take over. Because you're being reactive instead of proactive at this point. And even your reactions are not it. They're not it. You are literally putting these players' lives in jeopardy. Maybe that's a stretch of me saying their lives in jeopardy, but anybody that's receiving threats, racial slurs, being yelled at, that's taking stuff too far. And as a fan, why? It's not that serious. Just why? But Kathy, you got to do something. You have to do something. You got to do something. It can't be all on the players. It can't be all on them. Caitlyn can't come out here and keep saying, I don't want my name used to push racial narratives. And then she even told Malika Andrews in an interview, she said that you are responsible for pushing the narrative. You are responsible for what we read, what we watch in the media. And she's correct. It's up to the media. It is up to the media. The media don't have to push the narratives. They don't have to, but they do, because we get clicks and views. Caitlyn said it best, though. She said, when she was talking about the Alyssa Thomas thing, she said it was a hard foul. She said it should have been reviewed or handled in the moment, as in during the game. That's the only thing she wished had have happened, but it didn't. She said they went back, they reviewed it, they made a decision. Okay, move on. She was done with it. She said all it was a hard foul. They reviewed it, they made the call. That's that. She didn't say Alyssa Thomas meant to hit her in her throat. She did not say that Alyssa Thomas hit her in her throat because she was a white girl or whatever reason. All she said was, it's basketball. It was a basketball. It was a hard foul in basketball. It happens. Does not mean that Alyssa don't like Caitlyn. It does not mean that Caitlyn don't like Alyssa or they got some type of beef. It doesn't mean any of that. It simply means it was a basketball play. Move on. Leave race out of it. That's all she said. And the media has to do their job with not pushing the narratives, with not feeding into the racial narratives and making it worse. They have to do their job as well. Okay? Is what it is. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. Jonquel Jones said it best. She really thinks that people hate Caitlyn because she's not who they think she is. They think that she's like the racist fans. They think that's who she is. Jonquel Jones said she is not that. That's not who she is. Is what it is. So, hopefully Kathy get her life together, and well, I can't even put this on Kathy no more. Hopefully, with the WNBA, we can get back to just enjoying basketball, because all of this discourse, all of this racial tension is really, really, really taken away from the beautiful basketball that is being played. It's taken away from it. And I wish we could get back to that. I miss that. Like, I was excited when Caitlin was shooting from the logo. I was excited, to see her and Angel, go at it. I was excited to see South Carolina potentially go undefeated to break a record. I love that. I love that more are watching WNBA and women's basketball. I love it. I do not like the negativity that's trying to overshadow it. That's not fair. The girls work way too hard to get where they are. So that being said, I'm about to get on out of here and try to celebrate a little bit more of my birthday. It's been great. Turned 45 on July 23rd. And I'm grateful to be here yet seeing another year, because there was one time they didn't think I was going to be here. Okay. 3-time breast cancer survivor. Been through hell and high water, but I'm still here. And I'm grateful. So I will catch y'all on the next episode of Sideline Banter. Hopefully, free agency don't take us out of here. Okay? Hopefully they don't. But it's neither here nor there. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope y'all continue to tune in. Until next time.